feels it.
Most amazing book that you've ever read?
Oh, well, I'm going to pick The Diary of Anne Frank because that got me to write my diary. That's when I started my diary at age 12. I think she started around that age too. And it got me just to explore keeping a diary. And I'm so happy that I kept all those records through the years.
Was it anything about that book that stood out, The Diary of Anne Frank? I know I've read it, but
Yeah.
to you, was there anything that stood out?
Yes, like even despite what she was going through, that, it's funny when I think about her now, she was stuck in an attic for years, and now we're kind of stuck at home too, which is a kind of, we're trying to relate to that. But she always was hopeful. And despite everything that was happening, with the Nazis at that time, she still believed in the goodness of mankind, no matter what. And she kept repeating that. I relate to that so deeply. I always feel that too. You can always search for the good, no matter what bad you're going through at any time.
Okay, and what's the best? I have a question for you, but before I ask it, I want to preface it with, how do people connect with you? Are you on social media? Do you have a website, email? How do people connect with you?
Yeah, great. I actually don't have a website because all my books are on my Amazon author page, so I don't need a website. But there on my Amazon author page, you can find my email. Anybody that wants to connect with me is welcome to do that as well. And I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay, and they just type in Bracha, Bracha, last name Goetz?
That's it, yes.
Okay, excellent. So let's say, for example, as we're winding down, let's say I have a food addiction, and I'm listening to this right now, and, I've heard this already. I've heard this many times before, but, sometimes someone's voice, someone's vibrations, it's like, all right, I got it. Now, what she said, all right, I know I'm having food addiction. I want to move forward. What is a few steps, now that I've admitted it, now that I'm aware of it, now that I'm ready to move forward, what are some baby steps on initial action steps I could take?
Thank you. So beautiful. In order to overcome a bad habit, you need to replace it with an even greater pleasure. That's the basis of this. That's the easiest and most effective way to break a bad habit. Substitute in an even greater pleasure. So the next time you are overeating or involved in some other addiction, ask yourself this one simple question. Is it my body that's hungry or my soul? And you will know the answer. You can also ask yourself, if you're overeating, will 87 more pieces of what I'm eating right now fill the emptiness inside? Because you know it won't. There's really no end to it. And then right in that moment, here's the amazing thing. You don't even need to get up and turn on the music. Just thinking about it, just imagining doing it, will put your brain in a new place where you suddenly won't feel like finishing up the bag of potato chips. Like, for instance, and why that works is because when a person is overeating, the baby brain, the reptilian brain, the amygdala at the back of the brain is stimulated. It's a fear or flight response that's getting a person to keep eating. They're feeling anxious or bored. Many people stuck at home will gain weight. But when you move that energy to the front of your brain, to the prefrontal cortex, then you can imagine new things. You can imagine turning on the music, getting up and dancing, doing some yoga, calling someone, texting someone, doing an act of kindness, opening the window, feeling the breeze come in and feeling some air. All these things are counting your blessings. If a person is feeling gratitude, they're not feeling miserable. You can only feel one emotion at a time. Like you're not going to be feeling miserable if you're feeling gratitude, So it's a feeling of connection. A person overeats or gets involved with an addiction because they're feeling estranged in life. So you need to reconnect, and you could reconnect through any of these pleasures. And at the highest level, you'll be reconnecting with everybody in the world, every animal, plant, and the source of all the goodness, which is God, and the source energy. So So these are the steps that I recommend, and it's amazing how simple it is, and there's nothing to lose. All you bring into your life is joy. Yeah.
Okay. And I know you're obviously passionate about this and getting your message out, but if you could meet and connect with anyone in the world, any living person today, who would you want to speak to and share this message with?
Okay, that's such a great question. I knew Bill Gates was in my class at Harvard, and he was in my dorm, actually. I used to watch him. He used to go into this little computer room. In my days, we had this little computer room, and he worked on this big computer with his friend, Steve Baum, who was became the second guy at
Steve
Microsoft.
Ballmer. Okay, yeah.
Ballmer, right. He became the second guy. They were both in that room together. I used to watch them. So I think Bill Gates would be a person I would want to connect with. He's got the funds available to spread this around the world. And he is a great philanthropist, and he's doing wonderful things to help people around the world and pick up the physical lives of people. So spiritually, to uplift people as well would be awesome.
Do you have any moments or memories, personal moments or memories with Bill Gates?
No, not really. I used to talk with Steve Ballmer, but I never really spoke with Bill Gates. I just used to watch him because I used to pass the little computer room we had on my way to the dance studio because I love to dance. But I didn't really talk with him.
Do you have any memories or connections with Steve Ballmer that you remember?
Ballmer, yes, I used to hang out with him a little while in front of the TV sometimes. He was taking a break, and we would talk a little bit. And also, Caroline Kennedy was in my dorm, and we used to talk sometimes. She was actually, which is very interesting, she was like kind of interested in learning more about Judaism. And I didn't know that much then at all. But what little I knew, she was like curious about. So I know we used to talk about those things sometimes.
Is there anything different that you noticed about them then? I mean, these are some notable people. I mean, is there anything you noticed about them then which you would say, wow, that makes sense how they are who they are today?
Well, Bill Gates, he spent so much time in that computer room, which I think is fascinating. What I find it really true that what people are involved with as a young person, you'll see that carries on through most of their lives. When you have a passion about something, I see it, with young children now too. It's not an accident. What they're involved with kind of stays with them. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so into writing children's books about really deep subjects in a really simple way, because the more that you can instill in children from an early part of their lives, then their whole lives can have that direction. It's so crucial. So I think with Caroline Kennedy, I saw her interest in people and learning about all different kinds of things. With Bill Gates, it was his very, in a sense, clear vision of what he wanted to devote his time to. And it didn't matter what other people thought of him. He wasn't a very social person. He really wasn't involved with hanging out in the dining room much. He was just spending his time on what he wanted to do. So, I think it's to me a really fascinating thing to see how you could see from children where they're going in life.
All right.
Yeah.
Super. That's super awesome. Little fun fact there. We definitely, I would love to have you come back in the future once we get this released, get people a chance to see this on Facebook, ask some questions, and I could bring those questions back. So if you're not busy in the maybe a few months from now, we'd love to have you come back on, answer some questions. Again, this is Bracha Goetz. She was talking about food addiction. She has 38 children's books as well as a memoir on food addictions. Check her out on Amazon. Searching for God in the Garbage. That's definitely a book that I'm going to be picking up. I love the fact that you talked about the pleasure ladder. That I love learning something new whenever I'm having a conversation. And is there any final thoughts or anything that you would like to leave with us before we wrap up here?
I want to say that you are a phenomenal interviewer. You asked such great questions. You got me really thinking along new lines, and I love that
Thank you.
too. It was a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Bracha. So thank you again for being here. This is the Billionaire Brown Experience. Ladies and gentlemen, till next time, continue to be.
Thank you.